Welcome to the Tori Show, starring Tori.
Hi, welcome to this video. Today we have a very special guest here and we're going to ask about the books. Welcome in, L A Hearn author.
Hi Tori, thanks for having me here today.
You're welcome. What would you like me to call you?
I write under the name L A Hearn,
Yeah.
which you see on all these books, but my name's Lynette.
Okay, thanks, Lynette. So are these the books we'll be interviewing you about?
Yes, we're just looking at the latest two books at the moment. The Lives of CERISE, A Doll's Tale, and The Ghost of Belin, the Gorgeous.
These are the two books we will be knowing about today. So, what was your thought of when you were writing this book?
Well, I was actually on holidays with my partner Dave when I suddenly had this idea of this doll, an old doll sitting in an antique shop. I think we'd been antiquing that day, actually. I think we'd been into some antique shops. And I had this idea of a doll who's sitting on the shelf, remembering back to all its different lives. Like, you know, she's got a chip above her lip and she remembers back to when she got that chip. And it's a roller coaster of emotions. You're very happy and then you're very sad. I actually cried when I was writing it. And I love the book. I love the doll, and yeah, it's a great book.
So, like, what really happens in the book?
What really happens?
Don't tell that much because we don't want to spoil it for the people that's watching.
Okay, no spoilers, but a antique doll from Paris is sold to an antique shop in London. And while she's sitting on the shelves, and through the book she gets moved further and further back into the antique shop, and there's a story happening within the antique shop, but she's also remembering back to her first owner, the first little girl who owned her, and then how she went from there to Sydney. She spent some time in Sydney, and how she ends up back in London, and yeah.
So the ghost of
Sir Belin the Gorgeous, son of Sir Henfrey the Warrior and grandson of Sir Gilbertus the Vicious.
So what made you think of just this idea of the book?
Well, I thought of the name about a year ago, and I wrote the name down and I never thought about it again. And then after I finished writing The Lives of CERISE, I went through some other books that I've started writing and trying to just sort of see what I felt like writing next, because I've got to feel good about the book to be able to write it. And I had some started and I read those and it wasn't really coming, and so I thought I'd take a couple of days off writing. And I went to bed that night, and at 2 o'clock in the morning I sat up with the entire story of The Ghost of Sir Belin. I hadn't thought about it in a year, but I woke up and the entire story, the characters, the plot twists, everything was just there. So I got up in the middle of the night and wrote it all down on pen and paper so I didn't forget about it, and I started writing the next day. That book, Sir Belin the Gorgeous, took me 2 weeks to write because the whole story was there. So, yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about this book?
The Ghost of Sir Belin. It starts with a boy called Mason, and the town he lives in has just flooded. And he finds a helmet, an old knight's helmet, and he takes it home, but unbeknownst to him, the ghost of the knight whose helmet was attached to the helmet. So then he meets this ghost, and they have to try and get the ghost back to his resting place. So,
what's some of your other recent books that you wrote?
some of my other books, these are all of my books. We have got Philomai Grant that we can talk about in another interview. It's about a time traveller. This is the Clancy Quill series. All my books, Tori, I write them for lovers of preteen and teenage fantasy books. But I do have a lot of adult readers who love to read my books because they're very easy to read. They're a very quick read. You don't need to invest days and days and days and weeks into great big novels. Bentley Brixton, we'll talk about him another day because there's something very, very special about this blue car.
And we would...
You can't even see the name. We've got reflection. There we go.
And we probably will bring in the thing that's special about that book on the next one.
Oh, I think that is amazing.
That probably will be posted tomorrow. That most likely will be posted tomorrow, or a different one.
Really?
Yes. We're going to film all week that we can, every day after school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know.
So anything else before we...
Make sure if you'd like to like the video and make sure to subscribe. It's always free. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to. Share to other people if you would like to, and don't forget, we love you guys. Bye.